Hello. Feels like a bad dream sometimes. Sometimes life can feel like a dream, some- and sometimes a bad one. Those are called nightmares, the bad ones, I believe. But, uh, hello. Someone's here. Ronan's here. It's late. So here's what happened. Um, because man, I feel like it's probably the way what for a lot of people, right? That you kind of get locked into a for when it's good, it would be called a routine, and when it's bad, it's a rut. But it's this almost like this like a programming, that you have as you go about your living your life, where you're it's like you're living your life, and you're doing, you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, grab a glass, drink you a glass of water, have a coffee, um shit, shower, shave, go to work, and you just kind of do the same things day in and day out. And for it's good to have a routine that's the structure, within which we can then we grow our lives. It's good to have a routine, but then sometimes other times it can be like a there's like a perversion of that, or it can just feel as though it's like you're rudderless, in the way that when you're having a dream, you're you're not conscious in this existence, but you're conscious within the dream. And you're able to observe what's happening in the dream, right? And aware of it, and you can, like, you're having thoughts, and you have this perception of what's happening, right? But it's all out of your control. It just, everything, every movement you're making and everything you're doing, the events that are occurring are all just like completely out of your control. So as these good, bad, or joyful, horrific things are happening within this dream, you have either very little or no control at all over what happens in the dream. And then you wake up and you're back in real life, right? And you go, oh, phew, thank God that was just a dream that I was having. That is not real. And yet, similar circumstances in this life, isn't it? That you're uh, conscious, you're aware, observing your own life and formulating thoughts and opinions on it. And yet, so much of everything that happens in your life, so much of this you have either very little or no control over. and and then and a lot of times, even when it goes good, you get like uh into a you get into a routine, right? Or a rut, and then it all feels like it can start to feel kind of hazy therein. You know what I mean? Is this making sense? Anyway, so I guess what I'm getting at is, like, every now and then you have just like when you're dreaming, right? You have these moments of lucidity, like these like windows of clarity where you go, oh, I do have some semblance of control over this. Like this is a dream I'm having, and the what is it? The manifestations of it, the structure of it, and all that. I don't have any control. I don't know what's creating all this. The world around me. I don't know. I don't have any control over that, but I do have like some semblance of something that I have control over. And the last however much time that's passed up to where I am now has been this just hazy, foggy, like dream state I'm in, where even though it feels like I've been making conscious decisions and had some autonomy over the the meat that I inhabit. Pause. The body that I'm in, right? I've actually not been too in control of that, and then you have these like moments of clarity where you go, okay, well, wait, I do have most of this I'm but a leaf flittering on the breeze, but I do have some element of control, and it's like in those moments of lucidity, you start. It's almost like you're even beginning to almost wake up from this dream that is like reality, right? What we think of as reality, but it requires a certain determination and willpower and true desire to actually wake up from it, because it's easy to get lulled back into a sense of comfort or familiarity and just go right back on to sleep, you know? And so the last however many years of my life, probably all of it, has just been in and out of sleep. Just, every now and then I kind of have a moment where I kind of beam online and I go, oh, okay, it feels like maybe I'm waking up a little bit. Like I've, my feet, I know where my feet are planted in this world, and I can maybe start taking some control here, and then I just go, right back to sleep. Um, it's an odd feeling, because I'd like to wake up. I'm tired of being asleep. I'd like to, the same way when you're having a bad dream. It's like a great relief and a joy to actually wake up from it, to go, oh, that in the moment that was crazy, that was scary, but now I'm awake, and you know none of that was real. But then this life is actually sucks so sucks so goddamn much that it's like I kind of wish I was back in the nightmare. Um, so what am I actually talking about here? We do need some super chats. Thank you for saying that. So what am I actually getting at here? Um, well, here's what happened. I know it's late, and so here and there's no rules. It could be as late as I want it to be, and I could do whatever I want on the internet, provided it's what I'm doing is legal. And hey, there ain't nothing illegal. There ain't nothing illegal about just rambling, just talking and trying to think of something. But here's the thing. I I saw I've been dealing with like a pretty debilitating, just like mental health stuff that I've tried to articulate in the past, and I've hemmed and hawed about it enough, so I don't have to get too much into all that. But um, in dealing with like something beyond just like the trendy like depression that a lot of people. This is not to discredit anyone that says they're dealing with depression, but I mean, I went through like one of them depressive states, like from like a early 20th century like novel, where a guy about a guy who just stares out the window all day and hasn't talked to anyone in a couple years. I don't know if that's a real. Now I don't even know if that's a real thing. I just thought about, but you know what I mean. Just like the kind of like depressive state that like a doctor would prescribe a month at the sea, a month on the coast to go deal with this. Back when they would do, those those books where like somebody was losing their mind or something, and then like a doctor would prescribe like I prescribe to you a month by the sea to fix this, that kind of thing. um, and so in dealing with that, I've gotten it's not called a sanitarium. You don't know what you're talking about. A sanitarium is that's an asylum. A sanitarium. That's a no, that's just a psych ward. I'm talking about like this is probably exclusively for rich people, actually, but there used to be this thing where it was like back in the day, like somebody would lose their mind or be in a bad depressive episode, and then like the family would take them to the doctor, and the doctor would be like 2 months seaside, 2 months by the sea. That'll clear this up. And then somebody would just like fuck off for like a couple months and just go like live on the beach and just stare at the waves, and then I guess that would fix it. Um, this might not be a bad idea. I should go to the planetarium. That might actually help. Anyway, in that time that I've been dealing with, what would have been in the early 1900s a seaside vacation, I've been dealing with that kind of depression. The one that is doctors and different orderlies and nurses have to wrangle you in on. I got fat as shit because you start to become a little immobile and become neglectful of. All right, I'm not listening to this fucking horse shit. I'm not trying to. This is distracting, and he doesn't give me money anyway, so fuck him. Please don't be mean to me. I mean, there's people that show up in this chat and just start mouthing off at me. I'm the one in control here. I own this. I don't have to allow insolence. I am the Lord, the Duke of this vassal, and you are but my uh, subordinates. So anyway, I got fat as shit. And God, this he's got alts, he's got burner accounts. Good Lord. I'm trying to string a thought together here. And this chat is so the chat is a real double-ended dildo in that regard. It's a real two-edged sword there, because it's fun to have people to talk to and bounce ideas off of, but then somebody gets here and thinks they're going to be all clever and a wise ass and start saying mean, nasty things to me, and I do what they want. It gets a reaction. It gets me riled up. It certainly gets my goat. It sticks in my craw. Gets me frustrated. Boy, I'm just mad enough. I think the only thing that's going to calm me down right now is a super chat or two. All right, so it's late. It's very late, and I'm trying to um uh uh I'm streaming more now. But I'm exploring this brilliant, miraculous new art form that is sitting in front of a computer and talking uh for a long time. And so I've been doing this. I'm trying to get into the rhythm of like like Rush Limbaugh or Bill O'Reilly. Every day, 3-4 hours a day, screaming till I'm red in the face, popping Vicodins and oxycontins, and drinking pots of black coffee, shitting my brains out, or no, I guess not shitting because the opioids will plug you up. Um, so just not shitting, putting strain on my heart, developing a crippling opioid addiction, and broadcasting for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and then living well into my 70s and 80s. Fueled by pure rage and spite and hatred. That's a good idea, Raphael. That is a good idea. There's actually nothing funnier than that. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. Just wasting people's time like that is probably like the funniest thing anyone can do. Just sit there for an hour and don't say anything, and just have like people join in and wondering why they're even watching this. That actually probably would be the funniest thing that I could do. You can only really get away with that once, but there is nothing funnier than just monumentally wasting people's time like that. So okay, so um here's the thing. I you know, lost my damn cotton picking mind, lost all my everything in the process, in and out psych wards, and after that, big time seaside depression. I got fat as shit in that time, and I'm starting to kind of work my way. I'm waking up, working my way out of that. But it's when you get fat as shit, it has all these different consequences on your overall well being, and so I have to be very mindful these days of how I treat my body as I not I, I'm not an old man, but I'm certainly aging, and so I'm not the spry 250 pound 20-year old I once was. I'm not I'm not the slim, spry, athletic 250 I was at 20 years old. So I have to be like very now as an older man now, I got to be more mindful about how I treat my body and what I do to it. So today, or rather at this point yesterday, I went to probably the worst Chinese buffet I've ever been to. No air conditioning. It was balls hot in there. You know how hot balls get. They had no AC on, so it's just a stuffy room with one row of the troughs, one row of troughs filled with Chinese food. When any good Chinese buffet is going to have row upon row of troughs of Chinese food where you got noodles and different kinds of rice and dumplings, egg rolls, spring rolls, chickens, all that kind of thing. And it's usually the hallmark of a really bad Chinese buffet if they only got one row with the heat lamp and the glass with some hours old troughs there sitting there, and then not a big selection, no AC, very stuffy. Some just some. Not only was the lady who approached me when I walked in, not only was she Chinese, which I that's something I would look for when I go to a Chinese buffet for sure. Is Are they Chinese working here? Okay, well that offers me some assurance that this is Chinese food. But she also seemed kind of dim-witted. It wasn't just that she didn't speak English that well. That's fine. There's a lot of people who don't really speak English that well who are very, very smart, or at least have some you know something. They got the light. The light is on there. They're a little. They can be bright and not speak English. um, what does it say? There's a question here that says, if you're poor, how do you stay so well feed? Well, you should figure out how to actually use the past tense. How do I stay so well fed? I believe is what you're asking me. Do you know any poor people? This most of the fattest shits in this country are broke as hell. It's kind of the only food that's available to you when you're poor is the stuff that's pumped full of hormones and preservatives and all kinds of different oils and stuff that just like plump you up and make you grains and all that, make you fat as hell. Um, that's thank you. Dakota in the chat says this is a good point. Poor equals fat. That is very true. Yes, yes. So I went to this Chinese buffet, and there was a dim-witted China woman that greeted me when I walked in, and she said, "Oh." I mean, honestly, I'm not joking. She said hello. She did say hello, and I said, let me get a plate, um, and oh, this guy says he lives in Europe. That's why he says, okay, so that's, well, everybody's poor in Europe. Ain't nobody be making money there. Europe has like a higher floor but lower ceiling than America. So like in Europe, everybody exists anywhere between like $20,000 to $60,000 a month, whereas like 60's on the upper end. Whereas like um, here in America, we have no ceiling. Sky's the limit, but then also bottomless pit. It's a constant struggle to survive here, where any mishap or speed bump you hit, or there's so many machinations working against you, where you could fall through the floor and just continue to sink here in the States. But then if you can somehow manage to crawl your way out of it and start working upwardly and become like kind of upwardly mobile, then there's no limits to the wealth and success you can achieve. But um that's very it's difficult, and so for the most part here in the States, most people are just kind of pushed to the margins, and honestly, the powers that be would rather they just die. I think I think they're viewed mostly as a burden on the system, and are just try to be forgotten about. I mean, look at it. I mean, there was a couple of damn hurricanes that done destroyed all these towns in Appalachia here, and in North Carolina and such. And the media done already stopped talking about all that. We ain't care about them none. The government, none of the people here, because they broke. They making probably like $20,000-$30,000 a year, and then the rest of their lives are subsidized by the government already with like Medicaid and housing assistance and all that. And then hurricane comes through, wipes them out, and behind closed doors, all the politicians, whatever, are going, "Thank God." God really sent us a miracle with that hurricane. Now we can pretend to care for a couple days while this is still in the news, and then just move on and never talk about it again. These people lose their homes, and the towns they live in themselves are destroyed. And now that allows BlackRock to finally go in and buy up all that land, so they have access to the lithium reserves underneath the earth there. So it's a win-win for everybody. We get to cull the poor and uneducated population a little bit, and then we private equity gets to secure themselves very profitable resources and land. Would I rather live in Canada or Mexico? No. I mean, no. I mean, America is awesome. A great thing about America is, like I said, it's a land of opportunity. Can I stream in Mexico? Probably. Actually, yeah, probably. I mean, I guess Mexico would be pretty cool. Maybe further south. I think like closer to the borders where it's real dicey. But I think once you get like, I don't know. I don't know anything about. I don't know what's going on in Mexico. I probably don't want to live there, to be honest with you. I don't want to live in Canada. It's cold in Canada. Um. So. Um. Do I? Oh, I have to pick one. I guess because one of the choices was not the United States. Well, between the two, Canada or Mexico, I would choose Mexico. I don't do well in the cold. I'll just, take my chances with the cartel and go to Mexico. Maybe I could join. I mean, that might be my path to success and financial freedom is joining the cartel. They might like me. They might get a kick out of my whole thing, and I could be like I don't know, like a jester in the king's court, in El Jefe's court. Um. So okay, so here's the thing. So I went to this horrible, horrible, stuffy, no air conditioned, non air conditioned Chinese buffet, and where they had just a row of troughs filled with horrible Chinese food that had been sitting under the heat lamp for hours. Um, and look at this. Hey, look at this comment by Runaway Slav. Dalton is very un-American for blocking people for not spamming but expressing an opinion or factual statement. How un-American is this? I'm just put you in a timeout. Look at that. Boom. That's America, baby. Ain't that America? That I have the freedom to bend you over my knee and spank your little bare bottom red just like that. He's in a timeout. I'm not banning anybody. I'm putting you in the corner. Go put your nose in the corner and do not turn around until I say to. Until I say it's okay. Otherwise, you're getting another spanking. Isn't that crazy? I was just thinking about that earlier today. That it used to not only not be considered bad parenting, but it was actually good parenting. It was that you were supposed to do this. It was recommended that you beat the shit out of your child. That was actually that was good parenting. That was considered what you're supposed to do, and if you didn't do it, you were neglecting your child in some way. That even if your child was being well behaved, you had to make sure to give them a whooping or two every now and then, just to let them know what's up, just to make sure that they understand the dynamic between parent and child. They because that was not the case when I was a kid. My parents, I think I got a couple, I got a couple of three spankings here and there. Might have got whooped with a belt a couple times, but I don't think my parents wanted to do that, and they just like never did it after a certain point. Um, but their parents were, just uh, beating them, up and down, left and right, just hitting them with jabs and uppercuts, and just opening up cases of whoop ass on them constantly when they were children. And then their parents did that, and those parents did that. Um, and that was like you were supposed to do that. They would, you go into like any church, and that was like always preached, like, oh, spare the rod, spoil the child. Like the idea being like you actually like God is telling you to beat your kid's ass. Otherwise, your child might cop an attitude. So make sure that that their ass is beaten in line. Um, and yeah, I hate this too. What Urjo makes a good point. When a parent starts beating their kid in a grocery store in front of everybody, it's like have some class. Have a little tact. Like, don't. This is not the place to corporally punish anybody. We're all just trying to shout. Yeah, your kid is like bitching and whining and screaming. That's better than hearing the thunderous claps as your hand strikes their cheeks. And then there's and by the way, if you're beating your kid's ass for acting up in the store, maybe and then you whoop the shit out of them, they're just gonna scream even louder now and start crying, and then everybody in the store just has to like look the other way and pretend like this is not happening. It's really tacky. This is it's bad. Just not only physically hurting your own child, but then like humiliating them in front of a bunch of strangers is going to imprint horrible trauma onto them. But that used to be considered like decent parenting. Like back in the day, if you beat your kid's ass in the grocery store, you just be getting thumbs up from everyone else that's shopping. Like this, hey, that's raising them right. Think I'm glad that it's a good thing that that's over. Maybe we went too far the other way, and maybe kids are too. I'm certainly a big soft pussy, maybe kids are too coddled now, but I feel like that overcorrection was bound to happen. And we'll find a happy medium where maybe the best way to raise a kid is to not beat them, but also just not pay them too much attention. Just kind of let them roam around and neglect them emotionally, and then don't abuse them physically. You know what I mean? That's probably like the best case scenario on how to raise a child. So anyway, how I got on that. So I ate like two plates at this Chinese buffet, and it was terrible. I just figured, it was $13. I might as well at least try and get my belly full and just call it a day. Um, and so I sullenly just sulked out of that buffet. I said that was a terrible meal. I hate that. I hate that I'm full off of that because I would rather eat something tasty to in my meal for the day. My to so that my most recent memory of eating is a good one. So that my palate is what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, well, whatever. I'm having trouble. I'm foggy right now because this is what ended up happening. That I was thinking, I don't want that to be how my most recent food experience. I want my palate to be singing and dancing and joyful. So I spotted I don't know if you've heard about this place. I spotted a Dairy Queen uh as I was leaving, and I said, "Oh man, I love Dairy Queen." And what better way to finish off a meal than with a little dessert, right? A nice blizzard, which is what the Dairy Queen, DQ. That's what I like about Texas. When I was growing up, that was what the commercial jingle said was DQ. That's what I like about Texas. And I think that was like specific to Texas. I don't think they would run that commercial in other states. So so I said, "This is great. Now I get to experience the some joy and happiness and this is one of the great things about America is there you get to that there's enough there's so many options and so much surplus of foodstuffs that you could eat a shitty meal where technically you've received what your body needs, which is food and some kind of nutrition, fuel to continue the day. Which other people that don't have, a lot of folks are starving to death, and then you could still be in how unhappy you are with that meal. Still say, "Oh, I got to go eat something else now to wash the stank of that meal I just ate out of my mouth." That's how much options and how much food we have here. So I went to this Dairy Queen, and I went up and I said, "Let me get a." They got all these like different kinds of Blizzard. They're trying to do all these different Blizzard variants now. They got like this one's got espresso and salted caramel, and they got a French silk pie. And they got some all this other stuff. I try to when it comes to anything, less is more. Keep it simple. Stupid. That's the expression. Keep it simple. Stupid. And so the Blizzard menu when I was a boy for the longest time was just it was vanilla ice cream, and then you had a choice of different confections and candies to add into it, and it was always Oreo, M&Ms, Reese's, Butterfinger, Heath, and Snickers. That was your selection of what to add into the Blizzard, and that's my go. If I'm ordering a Blizzard, I'll just choose from these different candies and confections, and that's the Blizzard, right? So I said, let me get a small Blizzard because I'm conscious about my health. I said, let me get a small blizzard with Oreo, Butterfinger, and Heath. Heath being one of them things that I don't know if I've ever actually bought a Heath bar just to eat a Heath bar on its own. But it's one of them things that my entire life when I go to Dairy Queen, I go, man, that Heath bar really jazzes up a blizzard something nice. And so I got the Heath bar in there, and so then I ate a blizzard, and this is where I really need, going back to what I was saying. I got to be very mindful about my health and well being. That is a good point, Crystal Crocodile. Indeed, what a treat! I mean, I relished every bite of that. I really enjoyed. I savored every moment of that blizzard. Time stood still as I ate this blizzard, as I dug my spoon into the treat there, and scooped up myself a nice spoonful of ice cream and candy. There's a time dilation effect that happens with food, especially when you're fat as shit, when you like really love eating, where the time this is our greatest minds. I don't even know if they've ever studied time in this way, the food's effects on time. But there's a time dilation thing that happens with food, where in reality the actual time it takes. This is Dalton's theory of food relativity. The actual amount of time it takes to eat a certain anything, dish or treat or meal, is a matter of minutes, probably, if you're just focused on eating. Now, if you go out and have a nice meal with folks and you're exchanging pleasantries and having a nice conversation, I could last about an hour. But there's a lot of time there that's spent not eating. But if you're just like me, where you're just hunched over and just really focused, locked in on eating, that's a few minutes. If that, it's like 3, 4, 5 minutes that it's going to take me to eat a small blizzard. But that 5 minutes that it takes me to eat a small blizzard, it during the time I'm eating it, is dilated. It's augmented. It feels like time. There is no time, that I exist outside of space and time as I'm enjoying a delicious frozen treat. Um, and then when it's over, and then I am returned to reality. Time and existence itself comes crashing back down on me as my uh, blood sugars and my pancreas also crashes, because I got done with that blizzard and I was immediately very, very sleepy. I like was struggling to keep my eyes open, and just was dizzy and losing focus. My ears were ringing. I was incapacitated after this small blizzard with Oreo and Butterfinger and Heath. Um, and so I I've spent enough time sleeping. I certainly don't want to have to go back to sleep, but I just was like, damn, I cannot stand up. Like, I can't even stay awake right now. Like, even if I try, like, I could have a cup of coffee if I want, but I don't think I'm going to be able to stay awake. So I went ahead and laid down, and I gotta lay on my stomach because I'm so big now that if I lay on my back, I can't breathe. And so I have to sleep on my stomach if I want to keep breathing while I'm asleep. And it's not even, by the way, if I lay on my back, it's not even like I'm going to fall asleep and stop breathing. I like physically just will not be able to fall asleep that way, because um like the air doesn't flow right. So I like just am constantly being like you know jolted awake by my own airways not working. So I gotta lay on my stomach and and then and so I went ahead and just went to sleep. I said I'll bang out about a half hour nap. And then this was probably around like, what time is it now? It's 3:05 a.m. on the East Coast. So this was probably around like I'd say about around 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. on the East Coast that I did this. And then I woke up about an hour ago. So it was it was much longer than a half hour nap, and I woke up in such a confusion, so disoriented, and just unsure of my own existence. I fell into deep sleep, and many and lived through many different dreams and scenarios. At one point, I was back at the Dallas Hyenas at the open mic, and trying to figure out what I'm going to say when they call my name on stage, but my name never got called. And then I just ended up having arguing with the manager, which that just kind of is how it always went in real life anyway. Um, so I suspect that given the way I've neglected my overall nutrition and physical activity, um that yeah, that's how it be, Raphael. When you take them like naps, the because Raphael said the same thing. When he takes a nap in the afternoon, you sleep deep and dream a bunch, and then you wake up stuck to the bed and drooling everywhere, and you don't even know where you are, what's going on, what day it is. It's those like in between sleeps. When you go to bed for the night, that's contextually that makes sense. And you sleep and you wake up in the morning and um that all makes sense. But it's them naps where you get into a deep sleep and it's not the time to go to sleep. And then especially and especially for me, this was probably the sleep of a man whose pancreas is crying out in pain after that small blizzard with Oreo and Butterfinger and Heath. And so I suspect that given like the way I've neglected my overall nutrition and physical like activity, um, I have developed what black folks in the South call the sugar, which is type 2 diabetes. I either am full blown or at least pre diabetic, and that's the one that's curable. That's the one that can be fixed. I mean, a lot of people don't fix it; they just start taking insulin and um, are constantly being told that they're going to lose toes and feet. Uh, it's just a matter of self control and willpower to actually fix the sugar, as they call it. And so I gotta get back on track on I don't know my fitness journey. Because I've been walking here and there. What is the point of all this? Why do I wake up after all these horrific nightmares and feel like I needed to stream? I guess just to continue to juice the algorithm to have things on my channel and get numbers, and I don't know. So somehow make more money so that I can afford better food that'll keep me healthy, so I'm not relegated to the food of the food of poor people that's filled with nothing but grain and different kinds of oils and food colorings and additives that keep me fat and sedated and unhealthy, And maybe, hey, inshallah, Lord willing. I got a friend of mine who's from Syria who told me that's what that means. He said, I guess I could have looked this up without him telling me this, but yeah, Autumn is right. Super chat, and she will show a picture of herself taking a dump. Yeah, I figured the people tuning into this at 3 a.m. are probably not the most financially 3 a.m. on a Wednesday are probably not the most financially secure. They probably don't have super chat money. It's just my day off. It's my Wednesday is my Sunday. I work Thursday through Sunday. Thursday, no, I work Thursday through Monday, and so Monday is my Friday, and then Tuesday is my Saturday, and Wednesday is my Sunday. And thank you, Autumn. Please send me $20. And this guy in the chat is saying it's a different time. I'm standardizing it. When I mention the time, it's East Coast time, and then figure it out from there. That's the standardized time for the whole world is the East Coast, and then just everywhere else is miscellaneous. It goes it's you got the East Coast and Central time zones are the ones that make sense, and then everywhere else is just nonsense and whimsy. But inshallah. Oh, before I yeah. Oh yeah, my friend of mine who's a Syrian refugee was telling me that inshallah roughly translates to Lord willing, which I said to him, I said that's that's really what brings us all these cultures together. That's really what connects us all because that's a very common Southern expression. Oh, Lord willing, if the good Lord see fit, inshallah. But inshallah, RFK Jr. will help me with all this. He'll get me trimmed up and fit, and ensure that my diet is no longer festooned with grains and seed oils and preservatives and additives and corn syrup, but rather festooned with good, healthy omegas and fats and the good, the healthy stuff, vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. And then I can do push-ups in jeans. I gotta say, working out in jeans does look cool. That looks like Roadhouse. My namesake, Dalton from Roadhouse, which I think there's a somewhat of a resemblance between myself and both Patrick Swayze and Jake Gyllenhaal. I'll tell you what, speaking of that Roadhouse, the new Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal was very fun. I really really enjoyed that movie. I love anything where I can just I like smarty pants things. I like watching things and really stroking my chin or my penis and getting to think and interpret things and gain a greater understanding of the world. That's for sure. But I also really enjoy good things that allow me to just turn the dial down on my brain where I could just kind of shut all that off and have a good ass time. And that was that new Roadhouse was a perfect version of that. That's a great movie where you could just turn it on, shut your brain off, and watch it with your eyes, and really enjoy it. It's not. It doesn't require too much. You don't have to invest too much of yourself into it, and it's made. It's very well made. It's coherent enough as a narrative. The characters develop. where that keeps you interested, and but then like all the action, the fights, and everything are very fun, and it's shot in this like really actually the way it was like filmed, the way it was shot was really cool. They were I don't they were doing some kind of like new thing with it. I heard there's some like dynamic thing where there's like sequences in it that almost like look like Metal Gear Solid. Like it almost looks like a video game in the way it's shot. Not, and I don't mean like CGI or anything where it looks like a fake. Like it has this. I don't know how to describe it. You have to watch it. I'm not Roger Ebert. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I enjoyed the new Rhoda. Anything with a good, where I get to hear my own name in a movie because it's not a name you hear too much in media. Dalton. I can only think of you got Roadhouse, the 1989 Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, which is who I'm named after. You got Dalton Trumbo, the novelist and screenwriter who was blacklisted during the McCarthy era during the Red Scare. He wrote the Johnny Got His Gun, the from the Metallica One music video. You got Timothy Dalton, who was one of the James Bonds, and he's great as Niles Calder in Doom Patrol, the TV show. You got when I was a kid, when we go to the mall, there was a place called Dalton Books, and I used to go get books there. And then you and then I oh, and then Insidious 1, Insidious 2, and then Insidious 5, one of the protagonists, the kid in the first and two Insidiouses, and then he's an adult in the fifth one. His name is Dalton, and Patrick Wilson has to save him. And let me tell you, Patrick Wilson is he's a real cutie. I would love for him to hold me in his big strong arms. Yeah, and then you got the remake of Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal. That's the most recent Dalton I can think of. So it's nice to hear my name, and I'll tune in anything where there's my name is invoked. Yes, and please don't be mean to me. Wait. Oh, there's a famous Dalton in Brazil. Raphael's a famous Dalton in Brazil. Dalton Trevisan, a writer. He's the only Brazilian Dalton I know. Yeah, probably the only. It doesn't sound like it's a Brazilian name, but I don't know what goes on in Brazil. It's like, what is Brazil? That's a real question. What is Brazil? Isn't it like just every race? Like that's why the women there have like such insane bodies, because it's just like there was so much race mixing that they were able to create the biggest tits and the fattest asses, just through all the different combinations of genetics. They said we've got the best tits and the best asses. Now that we've combined all the best features of every race, those features being tits and ass, and we've created the perfect woman, the Brazilian. Because I'll tell you what, because I'll tell you when dog, listen to this. It's by the way, it's 3:18 a.m. on the East Coast. I'm streaming. I'm still sleepy from that blizzard I had. Let's get some super chats going. um, but I'll tell you this, man. So talking about Brazilians. When I was a kid, when I was a young boy, we was going to church every Sunday morning, every Wednesday night. Every Sunday morning we was at church, and every Wednesday night we was there for Bible study. Um, my youth pastor, a guy by the name of John, his wife. He had a wife. Her name was Amy. She was Brazilian. I think like her parents were Brazilian. I think she was born there and then maybe immigrated when she was very young. She was Brazilian, and this was the first. But she was very fair skinned. She was one of them Brazilians where she was like white, but also somehow still Brazilian. You know, and this was like as a young boy, this was the first time I'd ever seen this. She was the first white, like aside the first not obese white woman I had ever seen with a fat ass. She really filled out a pair of blue jeans. And I remember, um, I used to really enjoy walking behind her for sure. And I remember one time we was over at one of the church elders' house for some sort of Bible study thing. And so John and his wife Amy are sitting there. John and his fat ass Brazilian wife Amy with the Brazilian fat ass are sitting there, and she takes her socks and shoes off. This is in front of the whole youth group, and she hikes her feet up on John's lap, and she says to him, "Honey, could you go please give me a foot rub?" And then he, in front of all of us, and I know there's nothing intrinsically like sexual about feet, just as they are. They're more, they have a function. They're not like inherently sexual, I guess, but they can be a very sensual body part. Um, I know that. I know that's for damn sure. But so I'm probably like right around that age, like 13, 14 years old, right? This is for the whole youth group. She's barefoot, got her feet in her husband's lap, and she's like, "Honey, can you give me a foot rub?" And then he gives her the most frenetic and sexual, sensual foot rub I had ever seen up till that point. Probably still have ever seen. He was really. It was like he was trying to start a fire in the woods. He was really giving her the business with this foot rub, and she's like, reacting to it in a way that looking back on it, is very inappropriate for a church youth group, where she's just like, "Oh, I feel so, oh, honey," like she's about to bust from this foot rub almost, and he's just really like sanding down the calluses on her feet with his manly hands, and just giving her the most like intimate, sensual foot rub I had ever seen in front of the whole church youth group. And I guess they didn't think nothing of it, because I mean this was back in like the early 2000s, and I don't know if like foot fetishes were as much in the many people's purview at that time. But so like maybe we just all didn't know that was like how much of a thing that was and would end up being. And he didn't realize what he was imprinting on all of us by giving his big booty Brazilian wife the most sexual foot rub any of us had ever seen. Because I mean I still think about that to this day. I still be looking at women's feet and thinking, and just like beaming back to that memory, to sitting in whoever's house that was, and seeing this big booty Brazilian woman hike her feet up on her husband's lap, and then him giving her like an exhibitionist, like, "Yeah, watch me rub my wife's feet," in almost like a sexual way, foot rub in front of all of us. I don't think there was any like intent like that, like that was necessarily like a whole exhibition, but it was odd that they did that in front of everybody. And I remember how I do remember how intimate and sexual it seemed, and it really impressed itself onto me, because now I see a woman's feet and I get all kinds of tingly feelings, and I think that's because maybe that's a trauma response. maybe you know how they say that, like when you're a kid and you receive some form of like sexual abuse, that one of the trauma responses can be like either like a hypersexuality or a fetish or kink in some way related to the thing that caused your trauma. Maybe I was traumatized in some way by my youth pastor giving his big booty Brazilian wife a very aggressive foot rub in front of all of us. And the response to that is now I be looking at women's feet all horny. I'll be enjoying looking at a woman's toes and soles and feet. So I guess that's that's just a long-winded way to say that yes, I was in a matter of speaking molested by my youth pastor. All right, so moving forward, I do need to be eating better. I can't be eating no more shitty Chinese food and blizzards and sweet treats like that. I be having all this produce I got. I need to be eating like fruits and vegetables and hummus and healthy foods and drinking lots of water. Um, Speaking of, I got a Coke Zero right here. Um, because I may need to go get my what is it, 1A1Cs or whatever they're called. I mean, you get a blood test, but I definitely have. I feel like I probably got the sugar diabetes, as the black people down south say, and so I'm gonna get that under control. I'm gonna be, I'll be walking more and eating better, and I don't want to, this isn't gonna be like, um, I'm not gonna become like a guy who bores people with my fitness all the time or be talking about the nutrition. I mean, we will, I'll probably sell some supplements here soon, but that that'd be part of the network. But I just I just wanted to check in and let everyone know, I guess it's important to be mindful of what you eat and to try and get some physical activity. An hour a day, play for an hour a day outside. Um, and so that's what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and get that under control because I can't. I gotta at least get down to a weight where I can sleep on my back. I can't be fat. The this I can't. It's not tenable to remain a size where I physically cannot sleep on my back because I just can't. Like, would not be able to breathe if I try to do that. I can only sleep on my stomach. So I mean that right there is like should be enough to keep me alarmed and aware enough to fix this. I don't know why. I don't know why I've been so neglectful. Maybe it is the brain stuff. It's a whole ordeal when you like lose your mind in the way that I did. It's so much to like come back from, and then it's so debilitating. It makes it hard to like actually stay motivated or actually do anything, and so you don't even care that you're just getting fat as shit and that you can't breathe right, and it's like a struggle to even put on socks and shoes. You know, it's not even like occurring to me during in that time that like just simple all these simple things I've always taken for granted or like very basic activities are now becoming more and more difficult because I'm just like my brain's not working the way it should. Um I don't like this guy. I don't like whoever this Nisbet is. Bisbet is. I'm getting sick of his little snide remarks and input here. None of it pertains to anything I'm talking about. This is all drivel, and if not drivel, just very rude and nasty, um, and mean spirited. But that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes when you really start building an audience. You'll attract a certain amount of haters, And but the great Cat Williams, and he reads 3,000 books a year. He once says, it's good to have haters. You got 14 haters, you need to figure out how to get 16 for the time I get here. See, this is what I mean. Yeah, this guy just said, nah, you're just stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm smarter than you are. I know how to use a goddamn apostrophe. There should be an apostrophe there between the you and the re and your, and there should be a comma after the word nah, and there should be a period at the end of that sentence. Checkmate, king me. All right, that's the end of this. Good night, everyone. Thank you. I love you. Please be safe.